there's a lot of really incredible recent science about the fact that strength training / resistance training specifically is going to help the physical body prevent and also heal from symptoms of Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancers. So much so that there's a recent paper that talked about recommending resistance training or strength training for people with an active Alzheimer's diagnosis as a way to mitigate and even reverse the symptoms of Alzheimer's. What? I'm sorry, why isn't this front page news everywhere? Why isn't this something that every single doctor is recommending to their patient? Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Energetically Efficient Show. I am Kristin Rowell, I'm your host, and I'm so happy for you to be here because today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is strength training. So what I'm bringing to you today in this episode is the top 5 reasons that women over the age of 40 should be strength training. And I don't even want to say the word should because frankly, I don't even like that word. So why don't I say the top 5 reasons that women over 40 must be strength training, because I really believe in it that strongly. It's so important for our health for so many reasons. When I was coming up with this episode, I thought I literally could make a list of 30, if not 40, probably 50 reasons that I want women over the age of 40 to strength train. But don't worry, I have distilled it down to a simple 5 reasons. And so we're going to get into those today. Let's start with the first reason. The first reason that I want you to strength train over the age of 40 is because we lose muscle as we age. This is just a natural fact of aging, you guys. And so we are essentially in a race against time as we get older in terms of how much muscle we will lose off our body. So it's not as though there's some magical threshold that you cross when you turn 40. It's not as though you are not losing muscle in your 30s and you're suddenly losing muscle in your 40s. It's just that it is this gradual loss of muscle over time. And for most women, it seems to show up the most significantly on their bodies between the ages of 40 and 50. And this may look like all sorts of different symptoms in your body, in addition to the fact that you may put on weight. So you may feel like you have excess body weight because you don't have as much muscle. And we'll get to that in another one of my top 5 reasons that I want you strength training. But it may just be that you're putting on some weight. It may be that you have low back issues and your low back hurts. It may be that you have joint pain and your joints are starting to hurt. It may be that you're experiencing more brain fog. It may be that you just don't have as much energy as you used to. You may also, of course, notice you're just not as strong as you used to be because you haven't been strength training. So all of those symptoms, of course, could be related to other issues. Perimenopause, of course, is something that many women get into in their 40s. And so some of these things could be associated with perimenopause. But after serving hundreds of different women, you guys, I can tell you with certainty that a lot of women's problems when it comes to their health, specifically over the age of 40 and beyond, is because they are not engaged in a regular strength training program. So we're going to talk about what a regular strength training program means in a little bit, but I want to make sure that you hear me with this first point, which is no matter what, none of us are special. We're all going to lose muscle as we age unless we strength train. So we can prevent muscle loss. Age-related muscle loss is of course called sarcopenia. You may have heard that term before. And if you strength train, you can stave off and or avoid sarcopenia depending on your level of fitness. And so sarcopenia creates all sorts of calamity in the body downstream. It creates all sorts of health issues. And you, of course, are more likely to fall and break bones. You're more likely to not be able to live independently once you get sarcopenia. So in terms of this first point, which is that you are going to lose muscle as you age unless you do something to prevent it, that is one of the reasons that I say women must engage in a strength training program over the age of 40. Number 2, okay? Now, number 2 is, and I feel like this may be stating the obvious, but I'm actually surprised that a lot of people don't know this. The number 2 reason that I believe that all women over the age of 40 must be engaged in a strength training program is because it is going to improve or speed up or rev your metabolism. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if I was to just stand here during this entire talk, or let's say I was sitting in a chair and I was just to sit here, I would be burning more calories doing that than a person next to me doing the exact same thing who doesn't have as much muscle on their body. So even if we both sit in a meeting, if I'm in a meeting for 2 hours with 5 other people and those 5 people have less lean muscle tissue than me, I am the one who burns the most calories because I have the most lean muscle tissue on my body. Muscle burns more calories rather than fat does. So if you have more muscle on your body, you are burning more calories at rest. You don't even have to do as much during your day, and you're going to burn through more calories, which means you're able to eat more, that you're able to stave off weight gain or fat gain, most specifically, because you normally would put on fat tissue if you're taking in more calories than you're actually expending. And of course, all of the macros underneath that matter too. So I don't want to pretend for a second that I'm saying calories in, calories out are the only thing that matter, because I don't ascribe to that line of thinking. There's a lot more hormonally that's going on with people when they eat certain nutrients. But for the purposes of this illustration, when I talk about the fact that strength training revs your metabolism or makes your metabolism faster, what I really mean is you're going to burn more calories at rest by virtue of having more muscle on your body, by having more lean tissue, especially if you have more lean tissue than fat tissue. So when my clients hire me, I have them get either a bod pod or a DEXA scan to start their fat loss journey with me. And I always find it interesting, people's reaction to that metric. They're like, oh my God, Kristin, I had no idea it was this bad. Oh my gosh, I have so much fat to lose. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I had this much body fat. And I said, listen, this is the worst it's ever going to be. You've now hired me. We're going to work together. I am going to help you take off that body fat and retain your lean muscle tissue, or even gain lean muscle tissue, so we can convert you from someone who's comprised of too much fat and not enough muscle to someone who's comprised of a good amount of muscle and a lot less body fat. And that's really the goal. Getting your body fat down and getting your muscle up is going to stave off all sorts of diseases. It's going to make you metabolically healthy, and it's going to just make you enjoy life better because of all of the things that come along with being more fit. I'm talking things like more confidence. I'm talking things like your brain working better. There's so many different benefits that come from having a healthy, a metabolically fit body. And so on this point too, as I sort of wrap up point two, which is that strength training is really going to make your metabolism faster, so to speak, by virtue of the fact that you are going to burn more calories at rest. And therefore, you are going to burn more calories than the person sitting next to you in the meeting that hasn't engaged in a strength training program. In fact, and I don't want to forget to say this, the science shows us that when a person strength trains, let's say you strength train, I'll make up a time at 7:30 in the morning, you strength train from 7:30 to 8, you're going to burn more calories throughout the entire rest of that day than if you had not done any exercise in the morning. And I'm pretty sure, and I'll have to double check this, that it may even last into beyond that day. But the reality is, you guys, you get more bang for your buck in terms of if you want to have fat loss, if you strength train, if you engage in a regular strength training program. And this is specifically true for women. And specifically, I cannot get over how much this matters for women over 40. So if you are listening to this, if you're watching this and you are a woman over 40, I really want you to commit to me that you're going to strength train twice per week. And I'm only asking for you to do it for 30 minutes. And I'll talk later in this video about how I recommend that you do that. Okay. So the third reason that I believe women over the age of 40 must engage in a strength training program is because strength training builds stronger bones. This is how we build our bone density, how we increase our bone density, how we keep our bones strong and healthy as we age. And I don't know if you knew this, but strength training is truly the only exercise that's been proven in the scientific literature to actually be able to build bone. So if you aren't strength training, I just hate to break it to you, ladies, but osteoporosis is probably inevitable for you. In fact, I would venture to say it is definitely inevitable for you, but I'm sure that there's some outlier exceptions that might be able to prove me wrong. But for the most part, a woman who is not strength training will develop osteoporosis in her life, will develop osteopenia. She will develop something where her bones are not nearly as strong as they were when she was younger. And that, of course, can result in all sorts of problems. If we don't have strong bones, this is the little old lady who falls and breaks a hip, and then her life just goes downhill from there. Falling and breaking a hip or falling and breaking any limb at an older age is really sort of starting to march towards the door of death, which I know sounds pretty morbid to say, but it's true. There's just a lot of hip breaks falls, those kinds of things at older age that are associated with all-cause mortality issues. And so I really mean it when I say building stronger bones is going to make you live longer and live better and live a happier, healthier life as you age. So why wouldn't you want to do it? I know a lot of people think, well, but Kristin, what if I at least am doing, you name XYZ cardio thing, or I'm doing ABC on this particular bike or whatever it is. Those exercises, although they may be enjoyable, they may give you a really good sweat, they may make you feel good, they may, give you certain benefits because they are forms of exercise. Those exercises are not going to build bone. You need to resistance train for your body to be able to build bone. And so I can't emphasize enough how women over the age of 40, especially women, if you have kids and you want to be able to run around with your grandbabies and hold your grandbabies and not be in a wheelchair when you're in your 80s, you really need to consider starting a strength training program. And again, like I said, I will talk about that closer at the end of this video. Okay, so we've talked about number one, which is you're going to lose muscle as you age. That's just inevitable. And so strength training will prevent that. We've talked about number two, which is strength training will essentially make your metabolism faster. And what I mean when I say that very simply is you are going to be able to burn more calories at rest because having more lean muscle tissue, muscle on your body burns more calories than fat does. So just sitting in a meeting, you're going to burn more calories than a person who is sitting next to you who does not have as much muscle on their body. So that's another fantastic reason. And then of course, number three, which we just covered, is that strength training is going to build you stronger bones. It is truly, if you have, ladies, let me tell you, if you have osteoporosis in your genetics, if your mom had it, your aunts had it, your grandma had it, anyone in your line, you must strength train. I'm sorry, you must if you want to avoid that. The fact that I see all of these women getting into older ages that are taking all of these pills to sort of alleviate the symptoms that they're having of osteoporosis when what they could be doing is strength training to prevent it in the first place is baffling to me. So if you start strength training now, if you start strength training in your 30s, in your 20s, I started at a very young age. I'm lucky. I got on the strength training bandwagon way before it was cool because I just enjoyed it. And I used to watch my father strength training before work. And so I wanted to be like him. And so I started when I was 14 years old. I, of course, got out of it a little bit in college, like many people do when they don't prioritize their health as much at that time of life. But I got right back into it after college while I was in law school. And then I was lucky enough when I turned 30 to discover a gym called Discover Strength. And I will talk about that a little bit more at the end of this video, but that is a place that I recommend that women go, especially if they're intimidated by the gym, if they don't know what to do, if they're like, I would love to go to the gym, Kristin, but I have no idea what to do. I don't know what weights to do. I'm so intimidated. I don't want to be around all these men. I have the answer for you, and we'll get there in a little bit. Okay, number four. Now, number four to me is one of the most important reasons that women over the age of 40 must strength train. And this is relatively recent in the literature. We've only learned about this in the last, I want to say it's around 5 years, but that's only because in preparation for this episode, I was reviewing some science that was from 2024, from 2021. There's a lot of really incredible recent science about the fact that strength training, resistance training, specifically, so that form of exercise, not cardio, not running, not biking, not classes, not all the other stuff, but strength training / resistance training specifically is going to help the physical body prevent and also heal from symptoms of Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancers. So much so that there's a recent paper that talked about recommending resistance training or strength training for people with an active Alzheimer's diagnosis as a way to mitigate and even reverse the symptoms of Alzheimer's. What? I'm sorry, why isn't this front page news everywhere? Why isn't this something that every single doctor is recommending to their patient when they go in for any sort of exam? What's your age? You need to be strength training. What's your age? You need to be strength training. Here's your prescription. Go strength train. I think that we're headed that way in terms of where our metabolic health is headed in this country because we're having such a overcorrection to the fact that there has been such an obesity epidemic in the last 20 to 30 years that I think people are waking up to the fact that they really, really need to take control of their health. And when it comes to exercise, strength training is going to give you the most bang for your buck. So the fact that I could tell you that there's an exercise you could engage in that would literally prevent you from getting Alzheimer's, prevent you from getting dementia, prevent you from getting all kinds of cancers, wouldn't you want to do that? Wouldn't you want to do something that you know because it's established and proven in science already, that would help you avoid any of those horrible diseases. I can't imagine not engaging in a strength training program after learning that information. It seems to me that it is a no-brainer to sign up for strength training. Hi, Belly. The dogs are here just saying hi to me. They're getting hungry for dinner, I believe. Okay, so because I'll have to feed them at some point soon, I want to take you to the fifth reason that I recommend that women over the age of 40 begin a strength training program. And that is a very simple one, is that you are going to look and feel so much better in your body. This could be as simple as, oh my gosh, I think it would be cool to be complimented on my arms, to I really want to just feel confident and be able to wear that certain thing, or I want to be able to have really good posture and be able to hold my head high and be able to be confident when I'm in meetings at work, or when I'm engaging in some sort of conflict, or when I'm just out and about in my life. It provides so much confidence in terms of the way that you look and feel that I think it would be insane to not mention that important reason that women over the age of 40 should strength train. So many women, when they reach out to me and want to work with me and or hire me, when we talk, they say, I just really, Kristin, I don't feel like myself anymore. I feel like I've either not prioritized my health enough or let myself go, or I just feel so not like myself again, and I need to get back to myself. And I hear back from literally every single one of them how much they can't get over. They feel good in their body once they really start strength training regularly. They're like, I feel strong again. I haven't felt this strong in years. I can actually run around with my kids and not get winded. Because I should mention on that point, we know in the scientific literature that strength training also gives us an incredible cardiovascular benefit. So we used to think in order to get a cardiovascular benefit for your heart and for the rest of your body cardiovascular system, you had to engage in quote unquote cardio. Hi girls, they're playing with a bone. We used to think that you had to engage in quote unquote cardio. We now know that's not true. You get as much, if not more of a benefit, a cardiovascular benefit from engaging in intense resistance training, from engaging in strength training. So with all 5 of these reasons, I can't imagine someone not doing it. And just to recap, because I want to make sure that we go through this whole list. Number 1 is you want to strength train because we're going to lose muscle as we age. We are in a fight against gravity. And so you want to make sure that you're strength training so that you can prevent that muscle loss that will otherwise naturally happen. Hi, Catch. They're getting so hungry. They're so sweet. Do you want to come up and say hi to Mom? Do you want to come up and say hi? Do you want to say hi? Come on. You can jump up. Come on. Come on. There. Okay, she just wanted to say hi. Good girl. Are you getting hungry for dinner? Okay, Mom will feed you soon. Mom will feed you. I just want to finish this, okay? I'm almost done and then we're going to eat. Okay, sorry about that, but I also just love when they get to pop in the videos because they are so much fun and such a bright light in our day. Yes, honey. Okay, good. She's going to just hang out here with me. So when we go through these 5 reasons, like I said, number 1 is that we are in this race against time. So we're going to lose muscle as we age unless we strength train. So that's one reason to do it. Number 2 is, you want to come up? Number 2 is that we're going to have basically a faster metabolism. You're going to burn way more calories sitting next to that person in that meeting who doesn't have as much lean muscle tissue on you, which is amazing because that means you're not going to put on as much body fat. The consequence of having a faster metabolism is that you're going to ward off body fat unlike your peers. Number 3, we also are going to build stronger bones. It's the only exercise we do to get us to build stronger bones. We must engage in a strength training program if we want to avoid osteoporosis. Number 4, if we want to avoid Alzheimer's, dementia, and all forms of cancer, we need to strength train. Why would someone not begin a strength training program the second they heard those words come out of my mouth? I will put links below this video, like I already said, about the science to support what I'm saying in terms of the Alzheimer's, dementia, and the cancer, because I want you guys to understand that this is real. This is cutting edge stuff that we've been learning about for the last 5 to 10 years. And the fact that this has come out is like, everyone needs to be doing this. Why isn't everyone doing this? And then 5th, last but certainly not least, we are going to feel and look better in our body. So again, like I said, whether it's that you want those really toned arms that people seem to be envious of, whether you want to have a stronger or better looking butt, whether you want to have a flatter tummy, everything gets better when you strength train. And so you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, you're going to have way more confidence. And just the act of doing strength training alone and creating that discipline in your life is going to serve you in leaps and bounds that you can't even imagine until you do it. So I told you that I would make sure that I said during this video what I recommend. And I've already hinted at it and mentioned it a couple of times, but that is because I am obsessed with it. Is my favorite gym anywhere, so much so that I've invested in it, and I am opening that gym in Nashville, and it is called Discover Strength. So there are at least 14, if not 15 locations. Come here, girls. 14, if not 15 locations of Discover Strength all over Minnesota. There's also several now in Colorado, several in Arizona. There's a few now in Georgia. There's one in Washington, D.C. There are some coming to New Jersey. There are a bunch in Texas. There's one in Chicago. I don't remember if I said that. There's a couple in Wisconsin. I'm, of course, bringing this to Nashville with my business partner. And I cannot wait to be able to bring strength training and this concept of efficient and effective strength training to the Nashville community. So when I say efficient and effective, you guys, what I mean is, and I hinted at this earlier, I mean only twice a week for 30 minutes. And I know that sounds insane. No one believes me when I say that. That is what I do. And it is the most efficient, effective way to exercise. And you're going to get all these benefits: warding off osteoporosis, warding off Alzheimer's, dementia, cancers, getting your metabolism revved up, feeling and looking good in your body, making sure you don't lose muscle as you age. You can do all of that with just a commitment of 60 minutes a week. And so I would love to see you if you're in the Nashville area. I would love to see you at one of our Nashville locations. But keep in mind that even if there isn't a Discover Strength near you yet, that you can do a virtual workout with them. So there's virtual training that they offer. I have clients in Sweden who do Discover Strength. I have clients in Mexico who do Discover Strength. There really is an opportunity to do it anywhere that you are. And even just getting started so that you have that accountability is the key. I always say that the clients at Discover Strength are making decisions all day. They don't want to have to decide, how many pounds do I put on that bench? What do I do in terms of my leg press? They don't want to have to think about it. So the great thing is that Discover Strength has expert, educated exercise physiologists who are going to put you through a very effective, amazing workout in just 30 minutes, and it's full body. And then you just come there twice a week. So I hope that I've encouraged you to start a strength training regimen if you don't have one already. I hope I have motivated you to stay with a strength training program if you already have one. Please do not give that strength training program up, because it's one of the most important things you can do as you age. And again, as always, I recommend Discover Strength. I hope to see you on a future episode. I need to feed my dogs right now because now they're chewing on the bones again. Hey girls, are you hungry? Are you hungry? You want to come and say hi? Okay. They're very excited to eat dinner, and so I'm going to feed them. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you. Oh, hi, Belle. She wanted to say hi to you. I will see you in the next episode of the Energetically Efficient Show. Bye-bye. Okay, girls, you want to eat dinner?